Hey there, welcome back. Today we're diving into a hot topic that's been causing quite a stir lately: the growing hatred for finance influencers. Yeah, you heard that right. It seems like everywhere you look, there's another finance guru promising to make you rich overnight. But instead, people are left disappointed, deeper in debt, and feeling downright scammed. So what's really going on here? Why are so many people turning against these so-called financial experts? Is it just a few bad apples, or is there something fundamentally wrong with this whole influencer scene? Let's get real for a moment. Imagine this: you're already struggling with your finances, and along comes this charismatic influencer with a shiny course that promises to change your life. You think, this is it, my ticket to financial freedom. You buy the course, follow their advice to the letter, and nothing changes. If anything, you're worse off than before. Sound familiar? In this video, we're going to expose the truth behind these finance influencers. We'll answer the burning questions you have. Are they really just in it for the money? How are they able to fool so many people? And most importantly, how can you protect yourself from falling into their traps? Stick around, because we're not just scratching the surface here. We've got some eye-opening insights that will make you see the whole finance influencer industry in a new light. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. So buckle up and let's uncover the truth together. But before that, make sure you've subscribed to our channel. So how did we get here? Let's rewind a bit. The rise of financial influencers really took off with the explosion of social media. Platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok became the new playgrounds for these so-called gurus. Remember the days when financial advice was something you got from a dusty old book or your slightly nerdy friend? Well, those days are long gone. Now it's all about slick videos, flashy graphics, and catchy phrases. These influencers started popping up everywhere, promising to teach you how to invest like Warren Buffett or save like a pro. They made finance seem sexy, accessible, and most importantly, easy. And who doesn't want easy money, right? But as their popularity grew, so did the number of people who felt duped by their promises. Now, let's dive into the dark side of this shiny new world. What are these influencers really selling? Let's start with the misleading promises. Get rich quick, double your money in a month, retire by 30. Sound familiar? These are just some of the outrageous claims that get thrown around. Take, for instance, the case of John Doe, not his real name, but you get the idea. John followed an influencer who promised to turn him into a stock market genius. He paid for the course, invested his savings, and, well, let's just say John's now working 2 jobs to make up for his losses. These stories aren't just one-offs. They're happening all over the place. Influencers are selling overpriced courses and workshops, pushing dubious affiliate products, and promoting high-risk investments that they themselves wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. It's like selling ice to an Eskimo, but worse because it leaves people financially frozen. Let's break down how these scams actually work. First, there's the money-making machine behind it all. These influencers rake in cash by selling you their exclusive courses, which are often just regurgitated content you could find for free with a little Googling. Then, there's affiliate marketing. They promote certain financial products or services and get a kickback every time someone signs up through their link. Sounds harmless, right? Except when those products are high risk or downright scams. And let's not forget the paid promotions. Influencers get paid to hype up certain stocks or investments. It's a win-win for them. They get paid up front and again when their followers buy in and drive up the price. Meanwhile, you're left holding the bag when the bubble bursts. Now let's talk about the real victims here, the followers. We've got personal stories that are downright heartbreaking. People who've invested their life savings, maxed out their credit cards, or even taken out loans to buy into these promises of wealth. And what do they get in return? Debt, stress, and a shattered sense of trust. Let's hit you with some numbers. According to a recent study, about 50% of people who purchase these financial courses end up worse off financially. What is the average financial loss? Around $5,000. That's a hefty price to pay for a dream that never materializes. So, why is the hatred growing? Well, it's pretty simple. It all comes down to betrayal of trust. These influencers build a loyal following by presenting themselves as relatable, trustworthy figures. They're the friend who's got your back until they don't. When people realize they've been duped, it's not just their wallets that are hurt, it's their pride, their hopes, and their dreams. And let's be real, the economic pressure isn't helping. With the cost of living going through the roof and job security looking shakier than ever, people are more desperate than ever for a financial lifeline. When that lifeline turns out to be a noose, well, you can imagine the anger. Then there's the public backlash. We've seen social media campaigns calling out these scammers, high-profile cases hitting the news, and even legal actions being taken. The more people speak out, the more the house of cards these influencers have built starts to crumble. Alright, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the legal and ethical landscape surrounding these finance influencers. You might wonder, are there any rules for what these guys can or can't do? The short answer is yes, but enforcement is a whole different ballgame. First off, let's talk about regulations. Financial advice on social media is supposed to be governed by various regulations, like the Securities Act and the Federal Trade Commission (FTC) rules in the US. These laws are meant to protect consumers from fraudulent or misleading financial advice. But here's the kicker: enforcement is patchy at best. Social media is a bit like the Wild West, where anything goes until someone gets caught. There have been some high-profile cases where influencers faced legal action. For instance, remember when that famous influencer was sued for promoting a scam cryptocurrency? Yeah, that one cost his followers millions. Or the case where another influencer was fined for not disclosing paid promotions. These lawsuits serve as a wake-up call, but they're just the tip of the iceberg. Now let's dive into ethics. Just because something is legal doesn't make it ethical. Influencers have a massive platform, and with that comes a huge responsibility. They should be transparent, honest, and prioritize the well-being of their followers over making a quick buck. Unfortunately, ethics often take a backseat when there's money on the table. The ethical responsibility is enormous, yet many fail to live up to it. Now, let's shift our focus to the platforms themselves. YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, they're the stages where these influencers perform. But what role do these platforms play in all of this? Most social media platforms have policies in place regarding financial content. For example, YouTube requires creators to disclose paid promotions, and Instagram has guidelines for sponsored content. But enforcing these policies is a different story. It's like having a speed limit with no traffic cops around. People are going to break the rules. There's a growing debate about how much responsibility these platforms should bear. On one hand, they provide the tools and the audience, so shouldn't they also ensure that the content isn't misleading? On the other hand, with millions of users and billions of posts, it's a Herculean task to monitor everything. But maybe, just maybe, they could do a bit more. Stricter enforcement, better algorithms to flag misleading content, and harsher penalties for violations could be a start. And speaking of algorithms, let's talk about their role. Social media algorithms are designed to keep you hooked, showing you content that gets the most engagement. Unfortunately, sensational, misleading, or overly optimistic financial advice often gets more clicks than sound, sober advice. It's a vicious cycle. Influencers create more of this content because it gets them views, and the algorithm rewards them for it. Okay, so far it's been a bit of a doom and gloom picture, but it's not all bad news. There are some genuine, trustworthy finance influencers out there making a real difference. Let's highlight a few of the good guys. Take Stephan, for example. This guy is known for his transparency and realistic advice. He discloses his income, breaks down his investment strategies, and often emphasizes that there's no such thing as a get-rich-quick scheme. Or how about Andrei Jikh, who not only talks about the highs but also the lows of investing, giving a balanced view. There are real success stories out there too. Like Sarah, a single mom who turned her financial life around by following sound advice from credible influencers. She didn't get rich overnight, but with consistent effort and good advice, she managed to pay off her debt and build a solid savings account. These stories are inspiring and show that, with the right guidance, positive change is possible. So, what sets these legitimate influencers apart from the scammers? Transparency, honesty, and a realistic approach. They don't promise the moon, they give practical, actionable advice. They disclose their affiliations and paid promotions, and they emphasize the importance of doing your own research. These influencers understand the weight of their responsibility and strive to provide real value to their followers. Incorporating these additional topics will add depth and credibility to your script, making it more informative and engaging for your audience. Alright, now that we've laid it all out, how do you protect yourself from these scams? First up, red flags. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Unrealistic promises, a lack of transparency, and high-pressure sales tactics should set off alarm bells. You do your due diligence. Research the influencer's background. Look for reviews and testimonials from real people, not just the glowing endorsements on their website, and cross-reference their advice with credible sources. Remember, there's no shortcut to wealth. It takes time, effort, and a bit of good old-fashioned common sense. Consider alternatives to influencers. There are plenty of books, podcasts, and certified financial advisors who offer solid advice without the hype. Educate yourself through reliable channels and take your time to build a strong financial foundation. So, to wrap it all up, we've exposed the truth behind finance influencers. We've looked at why there's growing hatred towards them, how they're scamming people, and the real impact on their followers. But more importantly, we've talked about how you can protect yourself from falling into their traps. If you found this video helpful, share your own experiences in the comments. Let's keep this conversation going and help each other out. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss out on our next video, where we'll dive into the world of legitimate financial advice and how to build wealth the right way. Thanks for watching, and stay smart with your money.